Hello there, all you wonderful, beautiful ladies and gentlemen of the internet, and welcome to episode 2, the long-awaited episode 2 of my new series on YouTube, freshly new, of my video game consoles review series. And my last episode was on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I'm just taking off my coat that I had on, but I just want to apologize before I start this episode for a couple things. First of all, I'm a little bit sorry for this taking so long to finally film, but there's a reason for that. These console boxes are not easy to track down and obtain. That's why it took me so long. I don't have all these console boxes yet. I want to elaborate that in a few more of these episodes before I just continue making them, because I should be able to make episode 3 and 4 with no issues. I actually already made episode 3. But episode 4 should be made not that long from after I upload episode 3, so that's no problem. But then after episode 4, which will probably be on the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom, episode 5 will be on the SEGA / Mega CD. So that I have, and I'm going to be doing a review on the Model 1, not the Model 2 of the SEGA CD. So if you know your SEGA stuff, just know that I don't have a boxed SEGA CD Model 1. I just have a Model 1 unit. So I still have to get the box. That's going to be tricky to do. So it's going to be a while to make episode 5. But with that being said, we have episode 2. I just noticed I have a rip right there on my box, but that's okay. There's a fly. Got it here. Urban Electronics presents, or SEGA presents, the SEGA Master System, Interactive Video Entertainment System. And it's in 2 different languages, because I think that's French. System Interactive des Jeux Video. Yeah, I think that's French. I think it's French, but it might be Spanish. Yeah, I think it's Spanish actually. I'm sorry. This is actually imported from Canada, so I think that's why it's in 2 different languages. But I finally got this boxing out today. I'm excited finally to make this episode, and then making a SEGA Genesis episode should be no issue. So before I unbox this console, let's look at its boxes and features. There's a lot I want to say. Now, there are no limits, and that's true because the Master System is more powerful than the NES. That is a fact. So is the Genesis, obviously, but here's a comparison. There are no limits because this thing is a badass console. I love it. It's actually still being supported today in Brazil, which is amazing. It's still going strong. And there's other things I want to mention too about the Master System, especially its Japanese counterpart, which was released in 1985, the Mark III. This was released in 1986, but the Master System was re-released again in Japan. Technically still the Mark III, but it was literally this console. The only difference is that the cartridge slot is a little smaller to read Mark III games, I believe. But it was re-released again as the Master System in 1987 or 1989. I think it's 87. But that's so... my brain hurts just knowing that fact. It's a little weird to me that that's true, that the Master System got another revision in Japan, or the Mark III got revised as the Master System in Japan, but still the Mark III. And the Master System is technically the American Mark III, but then the Master System has a Japanese version, which is still just a Mark III. That's so, like, what the hell, Sega of Japan? That's so weird that they actually did that. But the cool thing is that the Master System has something called FM sound, which I'll elaborate that more later in the video, but it was built in. The Japanese version of the Master System Japanese version has it built in. So I was like, oh, I could just import one, but I can't because the cartridge slot, it's not region free. So damn it. But aside from that though, that's kind of awesome that that's true. So, let's just go ahead and look at the box really quick before I unbox it. Here it is in the top. It actually has two formats of games. The card format and the cartridge format. I don't have any cards. I don't have any SEGA Master System card games. I wish I did, but I do not, unfortunately. And then on this side, we have a picture of the SEGA Life Fraser, which it does come with it. I have it in the box. This is the bottom. It just says the SEGA Master System. And then here's the console again, the SEGA Power Base, which is interesting that's called that too, because the Genesis has a backwards compatible machine called the SEGA Power Base Converter, which is basically just this. I'll show a graphic of it right here, and I actually do own one. But it's basically just a SEGA. It's just basically a cartridge machine that lets you play SEGA Master System games on the Genesis. It's just a bypass of that. And then, of course, the most exciting part, the back of the box. And if you can read that, okay. Let me look if you can. No, you cannot. So let me zoom in just a little bit. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry, but if you want to read all that stuff. Well, go ahead, and for all you readers out there, pause the video and read it really quick. But why SEGA is a master over every other system? Well, God damn, Sega was tooting their own horn with this console, but I cannot blame them. I'm a humongous Sega fanboy. I just want to say that right now before I make any other these videos, because I just want to say I'm so sorry, because I watched the NES video again recently and it turned out so bad. The ending was really bad too with my editing at the end you'll see it'll look better in this episode. In episode 3 it looks better too, but what I was trying to do is hook up the console and have it just kind of fade in to my entertainment setup, but it looked awful in my original video. But in these future videos it should look better. My video editing software at the time was being kind of funky, that's why it turned out that way. And I'm sorry, I was kind of being like, oh fucking whatever with the first episode, but with this one I'm like, hey, I'm talking about this awesome console because it is awesome. When I talk about the Super Nintendo, promise I'll be ecstatic because I do like that console. But I love Sega, so every Sega episode I'm gonna be like, yo, it's Sega, because they're awesome, and they are, and I don't care what anybody says, they deserve way more respect and appreciation, and they deserve way more attention than what they get, because Sega is amazing. And if you've never checked out any of their hardware before, that's a shame, because yes, you can play most of these old games on emulators and modern consoles, but some of them you can't. Like most of the Sega Saturn library is like strictly to that console, so you gotta check out these games. They're awesome. Or games that are not associated with anymore, like the Panzer Dragoon remake, the Toe Jam and Earl sequels, and Shenmue 3 and other games. You gotta check those games out because they're good stuff. But anyways, never had so much power, so much memory been packed into a home video game system. Graphics and sounds that grab you. I think over here it's just in different language. I'm not gonna read all this. Actually, maybe I will. You'll see sharp edges, vibrant colors, and oh yeah, see, it's spelled colors with a U, so this is definitely a Canadian box. And clever animation, adds synthesized music and sound effects, and you've got an on-screen showcase. I think it's Hang On right there. Is that Hang On? Yeah, which is built in, but I think this model is not going to have it. But oh well. Gameplay that challenges you like never before. Choose from fast action thrillers, high-speed races, sharp shooting contests, strategic challenges, a lot more. Sega knows what it takes to make a great game. Sega has been creating the world's most popular arcade games for over 14 years now. It's kind of awesome. Sorry, hello, I'm in the video. I thought my face was right in the video, but it's not. If you've heard of the arcade hits Zaxxon, Frog, or Hang On, you've heard of Sega. And now Sega brings the world-renowned technology into your home with an interactive video game system. Only Sega gives you cards and cartridges. That's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading it right there. So if you want to read it, go ahead and let me know if you can. I hope you can see that. Okay. You know what? I will just do it like this really quick, so then you can freeze frame it maybe. Right there you go. Okay, now pause the video if you want to read it. Okay, and then I'll just do one of these. I think that's in not French. I think it's French or Spanish. Okay, and then here we have, I think, oh, and then up there really quick, sorry. I think that's a different language, but hey, if you can read the language, and if you want to read it, go right ahead. And then down here, which I can probably read those really quick. If they're in English, I probably can. The Master System comes with all this cool stuff. Yep, state-of-the-art power-based console, yep. Yes, it does come with 2 control pads, but they don't look like that, if you can see that graphic up there. Yeah, I have 3 Master System controllers. I do have one that comes off the side like that, but the ones that are in the box, that I have boxed up here, have 2 coming out of them. So, there's that for you. Okay folks, let's continue this video by finally unboxing the SEGA Master System power-based system. Here we go. Alright, I'm gonna box this bad boy, so we don't have to look at this boring box anymore. Alright, here we go. You open it up. Take it out. It's stuck. There we go. Alright, so what we have here underneath the styrofoam is, well, first of all, I have this little doohickey, which I just got this recently, but here we go, the SEGA Master System / power-based converter, which I had to talk about this manual really quick. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but they're not going to be on my episodes. I didn't have it for the Sega Genesis, but you're not missing much with what it looks like. The Sega Genesis's manual looks pretty much the exact same thing, except that it's not blue. Instead of blue, it's black or gray and white. It looks just like this, but they're Sega Genesis, you know, parts. These though are exactly the same. The AC adapter, the RF switch box, and the video cable is the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing for the Mega Drive or Genesis, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And with the Master System, well, you know, in this video and in the Genesis video, I'll talk more about that. I'm sure I mentioned it earlier in this video too. Okay. Yeah, it's basically the exact same thing. But I don't think it's in different languages in that manual. And there it is. That's what it looks like when you insert a Sega card. I don't have one, so I can't show you. But, yeah, it's pretty cool how the Master System does that. I think that's really unique. What other game console can you think of that has two, like, formats, you know, for gaming? That's interesting in my opinion. So, let's go ahead and show you what it comes with. It comes with one game, Hang On in Safari Hunt. Now, I used to have an older unit, which no longer functions, unfortunately. I had to give it a toss and broke my heart. But the old unit I used to own actually had this built into it. It had Hang On Safari Hunt built into it. This one does not. When you boot up this model, it just shows a screen that says, that has 3 steps that says, you know, power it on, put a game in, and enjoy. And you know, I'll show a graphic of that screen right here if I can find one on Google Images. But that's what it shows. But there's a hidden game in every single Sega Master System called Snail Maze. They're in all the devices. I believe you have to like press 1, and then you hold left or right. But let's talk about the controller really quick. Actually, since I just pulled it out. Now it looks like your basic Nintendo controller, right? Your NES controller, but there's 2 buttons missing. Right? There's a start button, but there's no pause button or select button. Now there wasn't really a select button for the Sega Master System, but there is a pause button for it. But it's not on the controller; it's on the console itself. It's right here, right there. The pause button. That's right. Yep, right there on the Sega Master System. Here's the console. I love these little like rectangular. Like, it just looks very cool and retro to me, obviously, in the very 80s. And if you've ever seen the cartoon show Regular Show with Mordecai and Rigby, this console should look a little familiar to you guys. That's right, the console they have in that show is based off of the Sega Master System, and I think it's kind of awesome. When I first saw that, I was like, that's so cool. Here's the bottom of it. Also, I don't think I mentioned this yet, this is not Sega's first console. This is their first console released in North America, you know, in the United States where I'm filming this, and you know, in Michigan, but not in North America. No, this is their second home system I believe ever made. I think it is. The first one they ever made was the SG-1000. That was the first home system ever. However, it did not get an official release here in North America. So, also, the controller inputs right here are the exact same as the Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis is. And so is the back right here. The back of the Genesis looks exactly like this. It looks exactly the same. It does. It looks exactly like that. I don't think there's like a single difference. Well, there's like another input thing right here that looks like the controller input. This thing that they have on the back. I forgot what this input was called, but there is a name for it because the Atari 2600 also has it, and I noticed that like some computers have this too. So there is a certain name for it. It's not like a controller input that Sega like owns like officially. Okay, sorry for being in front of the frame a little bit. I'm gonna try not to do that. And what the heck is going on with this guy? What does this say? Okay. Oh yeah, no, we don't need to worry about that. So okay, so it comes with like the NES, two controllers, but they're not on the side. I do have one that's on the side, but I'll show that one in just a moment. And then here is the RF box, which works with the Sega Master System and Sega Genesis. It does. It does. All this stuff works with it. And so is this guy right here. This right here, this video cable, is a Sega Master System / Sega Genesis or Mega Drive Model 1 video cable. It only has, I think, I don't know what this, I think it's just the right speaker or the left speaker. I'm not sure, but it doesn't have 100% stereo sound. I think it technically is stereo sound, but it's not like both, like, you know, audio outputs for some weird reason. I don't know why it was designed this way. And the NES is the opposite. It's with the red cord. for composite. I don't know why they designed it that way, Nintendo and Sega. I don't know why. It's so confusing to me. I don't know, because the Sega Genesis Model 2 uses a completely different video output or cable, and so does the Sega 32X. So I don't know. I don't know. In fact, the Sega Genesis / Sega Model 2 Sega 32X video cable looks very similar to the Sega Saturn's video cable. I'll talk more about that in my 32X video. And Sega Saturn video. I think I will. I think I should. And then here we have this guy, which is basically like the NES Zapper, the Light Phaser, which works with Hang-On and Safari Hunt, because Safari Hunt is basically the version of Duck Hunt. And I played a little bit of it, and it's pretty fun, but it's been a while since I played it last, and it's said to be a better game, basically, or a better version of Duck Hunt, again, with Sega's version of it. And Sega usually is known for making games better than like that, or it's like, kind of like Nintendo's, but like a little bit better with like their own twist, and it makes them like, you know, unique and interesting in their own way. Sega, in my opinion, is a very badass company, and I'm kind of sad that they don't make consoles anymore. But where they are now in 2020, they're not in such a bad spot, but they could be in a better spot. But oh well. Let's read that really quick. Hang-On is a 3D motorcycle race game that's taken the arcades by storm. Alright then, not really 3D, but you know, kind of 3D. And here we have the AC adapter. I decided to label my AC adapters. You're gonna see them more often in my videos. But yeah, it's the exact same AC adapter. This AC adapter also works with the Sega Genesis and the Sega CD Model 1s. The Sega Mega Drive, such as Model 1, the Sega CD Model 1. It's the, what is it? It's the Model 160 or 1602-1. Now, if you have a third-party Sega Genesis AC adapter, I believe it will also work with, like, you know, hardware similar. I actually, for the longest time, I had a third-party AC adapter that was designed for the Genesis and Nintendo or whatever, but I used it for my SEGA Master System, and it worked. It powered it, and it was perfectly fine. This one, though, the cord's a little finicky, which is unfortunate, but it does work, though. So, there you go. Okay, so I'm not sure what else we can say about the Master System. I already mentioned that it's technically the world's longest running video game console, and that to me warms my heart to know that Sega is still technically making consoles today in another country, Brazil. That is awesome to me. It is super popular there. Like, it's really well known and received, and it's really well loved there. It has to be. Like, I didn't do too much research on it, but I know it's extremely popular because, like I said, it's still being produced today, which is awesome in my opinion. That is fantastic freaking like news. Like, that blows my mind, and it makes me so happy that it's true. Okay, sorry, I'm just moving on this aside. Now, let's talk about the games. Now, most of these games I own, I'm going to show you, there is a running theme with them. And if you're a Sega fan, and if you know these games well, you might know what that certain theme is, because well, I'll tell you what it is later on, in case if you don't catch on. But here you have Hang-On and Safari Hunt. I believe at least one of these games was released in an arcade. Hang-On, you know, classic combo right there. Now here we go. These are not all my Sega Master System games, but these are most of them. This is like 90% of my collection. Afterburner, the 4 mega cartridge. This is a decent port of the game. All these arcade ports of the Sega Master System that I'm going to show you play really well. They play extremely well for the system. Some of these I played them on other platforms. Some of them I actually played the original arcade machine, and they feel similar to what is ported onto here. Like what Sega did was they did a fantastic job with these ports in my opinion. It's pretty good stuff. I haven't played Afterburner in a minute on the Master System, but it was pretty good from what I can remember. I mostly have played Afterburner 2 for the Genesis, but they both control the same. Fantasy Zone. I fucking love this game. I got this recently. I think it's great. It's so cute and charming. I love Opa Opa. You know, he was kind of like an unofficial mascot for a short while. During this era, there was no Sonic the Hedgehog. Sega's mascot at the time was this character called Alex Kidd, who was kind of like a Mario clone ripoff. Not really ripoff, but he was kind of like Sega's Mario just a little bit. People always say, oh, Sonic is Sega's Mario. No, Sonic the Hedgehog is just Sonic the Hedgehog. He's his own awesome, badass character. Alex Kidd, though, he's his own character, but he is definitely more like kind of like Super Mario. If you just look at his game and the way he controls, the way he plays, you can just kind of tell. The only thing he has going for him that's a little bit different is that he punches, but his game is different, so the Mario is. But I don't have any of his games, unfortunately. I wish I did, because you can't, you know, it goes hand in hand. The Master System and Alex Kidd go hand in hand, but his games are a little bit too pricey for me to afford right now. so I wasn't able to get one in time for the episode. But in the future, I will for sure talk more about him on this channel, I can guarantee it. Global Defense, I haven't played much of this one, but it's a pretty decent game from what I can remember. And I'm not sure this is an arcade game or not, but it's not bad for what it is. It's pretty good. I think it's just basically just a space shooter game. Outrun, this is a classic Sega Yu Suzuki game. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about that guy. Yu Suzuki is my favorite game developer of all time. He's developed my favorite game. He's the head director of it. The Shenmue Saga, the Shenmue story series. Every game I've ever played that he's produced, I have fallen in love with them. There's like this beautiful artistic creation to all of his games. He does such a great job with game designing. He is, or was, when he worked at Sega, he was basically kind of like Sega's Shigeru Miyamoto. Shigeru Miyamoto, I shouldn't mention him in my NES episode. He's the guy who created Super Mario Brothers, and he also wanted to make a Popeye game. I think he eventually got to, but he had a lot of creative. He still does. I don't actually. Well, scratch that. I think he no longer works at Nintendo, but ever since maybe like 2017, 2018, or 2016, I think he retired. Like not that long ago, Miyamoto retired. He was working at Nintendo for years, and he's one of the most important people ever, in my opinion. And so is Yu Suzuki, absolutely. But he probably isn't as well known as Miyamoto is. But Miyamoto, and him both have creative freedoms. Now, their games, what they actually developed, are anything to compare. Because what Yu Suzuki does, compared to what Shigeru Miyamoto has done, are very different. They're very different. Very different. In fact, most of Yu Suzuki games, some of them have like a very similar style, like Outrun, Afterburner. I think that's also his game. That's right, Afterburner is also his game. And Space Harrier, which I'll talk about more about that later, all have a very similar design to them. And Hang On is also his game, the Marshall game. They're all like on this grid type 3D look, and they basically just have like a 1 or 2 button control. The arcade machines are designed very uniquely, but his like fighting games and then his RPG games are also very different. They're all like very different from one another. But like whatever he like works on, he is a master at. Like it's awesome. Like these games are fantastic. Shenmue is fantastic. His RPGs, I've only one I can think of that's definitely an RPG that I think is a lot of fun. It's called Rent a Hero. It was on the Mega Drive, not released in North America. It's really, really good. And then another one he worked on is called Sword of Vermilion, but I don't think he worked too hard on that. I don't know how much of a hand he has in it, but it definitely has some inspiration. Its story has a little bit of inspiration towards Shenmue, in my opinion, but not really. And Virtua Fighter, that's like his classic fighting series, which I'll talk more about that in my Saturn or 32X episode. That game is pretty great. Now here we have one of the most important RPGs ever made, in my opinion. It definitely is, in my opinion. Definitely one of the most important Sega games and franchises ever. Is Phantasy Star. This game is big, important, and huge, and the number one reason to own a SEGA Master System. Now, all these games I'm talking about aren't really made for the Master System. They were made for arcade experiences, right? They're all released as arcade machines. But Phantasy Star was made for the Master System in mind, and the visuals look pretty damn good for the Master System. I once had this friend. He's not my friend anymore, but at the time he was really into video games, kind of like I am. He constantly was saying about Phantasy Star that it almost looks 16-bit. And he's kind of right. Like, if you just look at these graphics, these visuals right here, this looks like it could be on the Genesis or the Mega Drive. It looks like it's more than 8-bit, and it kind of is, because they did a lot with this cartridge. It tells you right down there what they did, actually. This game is incredibly cool. It really is. My only issue with it is that the sound and the music can get a little annoying after playing it for a while, and I really wish that the Master System could have FM sound released into it in North America. Now, what is FM sound? Well, now that I'm talking about Phantasy Star, I think now is a good time to kind of talk about that. Same thing with Outrun. At least 3D Outrun had a FM sound version of it. FM sound, which the NES and the Genesis do not have this, but the Super Nintendo kind of does, but built into it. FM sound is basically enhanced audio for the SEGA Master System, so let the sound effects and the music sound more pristine, like they're like CD quality level of good. Kind of like with the Super Nintendo, how it sounds like actual music and actual sound effects. The SEGA Master System technically did that first, but FM sound wasn't. It was like a adapter released for the SEGA Mark III in Japan. Now, I showed an image of it earlier. I'm probably showing another graphic of it here, but like I mentioned before, the Japanese version of this guy has a built-in, and I really wish that SEGA North America release FM sound here. And it's possible there's plans for that, because there's this little device back here that opens up, kind of like what the Genesis has for the Sega CD. But look, there's nothing for like a CD add-on or like a floppy disk add-on input right here. I don't know, maybe somehow, some way they were gonna release FM sound for it that you put on the bottom of it and you attach it right here, or like on the side, like right here, like on the bottom. Maybe it wouldn't be like that big, and boom, there you go. Your Master System has FM sound. I'm betting that's what they were gonna do, but it's really easy to mod a North American Master System to run FM sound, and that is a project that I might personally work on. That kind of thing makes me a little nervous. I don't want to destroy my consoles. I'm not too familiar with like soldering and doing that kind of thing, but you know what? Maybe one day. This will be my first console I ever do it with, so we will see. We will see. So, and then later on I want to mod my Saturn to make it completely region and well, basically disc free. Like it can run burn games and all different types of stuff. Shinobi. This is a humongous Sega. Look, all these franchises I'm talking about, because if you don't know, Sega were big back in the 80s and 90s. These were their big franchises back then. Now, some of these games still get re-released on platforms today. Phantasy Star is on the Nintendo Switch right now with an FM sound option. So that, in my opinion, is pretty awesome. Plus, it was released on the Sonic and Sega Ultimate Genesis / Mega Drive collection for the Xbox 360 and PS3. But there is no FM sound in that version. But yeah, that's, these games are still getting released, and they still have sequels today. In fact, Shinobi, the last Shinobi game was on 3DS, I believe. I wish there was one for the Switch. There should be one. I wish there was, but I don't know if there's ever going to be one. Right now there's not, but that'd be kind of cool. This game is pretty awesome. It also was released this is also an arcade classic game. So, oh yeah, that's right, the arcade command stick. I might get that. I don't really have many accessories. I don't have any accessories for the SEGA Master System. I have a few for the Genesis, which I talked about. I can guarantee you those accessories are compatible with this guy. They probably are. Like the 6-button arcade stick and the that's all I really have. But yeah, Space Harrier. I love this game to death. This game is awesome. I love this game. This is one of my favorite Yu Suzuki games, next to Outrun and Shenmue and Virtua Fighter. This is like my favorite games he's ever made. I love the music, I love the premise, and I just love everything about it, man. This is such a classic game. I also have it for 32X, and I prefer that version. I also have it for the Saturn. I think I have it for the Saturn. I think I have it on the. I think it's on the Sega Asia's collection. That's right. So I prefer that version too. But okay, fine. The 3DS, and I think it's on the Switch. I think it is. I prefer any other version maybe besides this one. This one's still really, really good. The only issue is that it's obviously it's 8-bit and the sound effects and music are as like it's 8-bit and it's a chiptune stuff. But if you're gonna play Space Harrier, I would prefer playing it on Shenmue, which is the first time I ever played this game was in Shenmue. I'll play it there. I'll play it on the 3DS. I'll play it on the Switch. I'll play it on the PS4. I think it's in Yakuza 0. I know Outrun is. I've played that version. Outrun's also on the Genesis. I'll play that version over this one too. So just because like better graphics, better sound. Is there anything wrong with these? No, there's not. The only if you want better graphics and sound, go ahead and play those versions. But these ones are just fine. One thing I really want to talk about is this box art, man. The box art just kind of stinks. This one's not so bad, though. Now, I brought down Zaxxon for a very important reason. First of all, Zaxxon is kind of a big deal to people who play the Master System, as I kind of gathered that, but people who talk about this console. Another reason why is this right here, the Sega Scope 3D, Zaxxon 3D. I also mentioned Outrun 3D. What's with this 3D stuff, right? This is an old fucking console from the 80s. It can't do 3D. And you'd be right. It's not technically like 3D gaming. I mean, it can't be. Look at this controller. Look at that. No, it's not like Super Mario 64 or like a Nintendo 64. That's not what it means. No. Or like anything past that. What it means is that the Sega Master System has this add-on called the Sega 3D glasses, and basically it portrays the image like as if it was going out towards you in 3D, kind of like a 3D movie or like a 3D comic book, like with that idea in mind. That's what it means. Yes, it was a gimmick, but however, gaming kind of brought that back during the 7th generation, the Xbox 360 and PS3. There are some games that do 3D gaming, and I'm like, that's cool that like 3D gaming is finally, 3D visual gaming is, kind of here, which it was kind of dumb but cool because, in case if you had like a 3D TV. But I had no idea that Sega did it first. And that is awesome, in my opinion. They did. So, let's see. Zach's had one of those games that was released on the arcade too. I don't know. But what is one thing that most of these games have in common? If you haven't figured it out yet, you probably have, because I kind of already mentioned it. They're all arcade ports. They're all arcade ports. That's right. There's no real game made for this console. Sega was known as being the arcade king. Basically, back in the 80s and 90s, hell yeah, they were. Now, I'm not saying Capcom, Nintendo, and Konami weren't either. No, they were good too. But Sega, man, these games are awesome. Now, I prefer playing them here at home on home console, and that's the whole idea of what Sega was doing. They're bringing the home console, they're bringing the arcade experience to your home, to you guys. That's what they were trying to do. That's why they entered the console race at first. They're like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. But they're being crushed by Nintendo at this time. The Master System was not well known in North America. It was not doing so hot. And Nintendo had an iron grip on third-party support. They were able to get most companies and people to help them out with the NES. And unfortunately, I don't have most of those games. I still only have 4 NES games. I really want to get Mega Man 2 and Punch-Out and other titles for the NES and other Mario Brothers games. But unfortunately, now I don't. Kind of feel bad about that. But yeah, the Master System, it's pretty special, it's pretty good, but I have so much more to say about the other Sega hardware than this guy, unfortunately. This is not a bad piece of machinery, and if you don't own any Sega consoles or hardware, would this be a good first one? No. Actually, I think the Genesis would be a perfect first one. Would I recommend you buying this one first? No, I would not doing that. And I hate to say that, but that's actually kind of up to you. It depends on what you want to play. The reason why I recommend the Sega Genesis over the Sega Master System is because obviously, what does the Sega Genesis have? What is Sega best known for? What do you think of when you think of Sega? It's like a no-brainer. It's a certain character. He's blue, he's fast. He goes hand in hand with the Sega logo. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. That is the number one reason to have a Sega Genesis over a Master System. However, does the Sega Genesis have Phantasy Star on it, and Outrun, and Space Harrier? Kind of, yes. It has Space Harrier 2. It has a version of Outrun that's more badass. It has Afterburner 2, but I believe Afterburner 2 is just Afterburner 1, I think, graphically enhanced. I don't know if the story matters for the Afterburner games, because it's just a plain simulator. But for, I don't think there's much to the Afterburner story, but for Space Harrier, I think Space Harrier 2 does connect with the first game. So in case if you care about story and chronologically and timeline order and stuff, I say get a Master System, or actually you still don't need a Master System. If you want to play Sega Master System games, and you don't want to own this console yet, if you ever want to get one, but you do want to play these, and you want a Genesis, you're in luck. You are in luck, because you can play Sega Master System games on the Sega Genesis. You absolutely can. There is this adapter called the Power Base Converter. I think I talked about it actually in the beginning of this video. I don't remember if I did, but I will show it in my Sega Genesis video. But yes, there is an adapter called that. Or there is a device called that. Basically meaning the Sega Genesis is backwards compatible with this guy. It is. Or this guy is backwards compatible with the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The technology is basically the exact same as Master Systems, as you could probably tell by the AV cables and the AC adapter. Exactly like the PS1 and the PS2. Think the PS1 and the PS2, but with Sega. Like the Genesis is basically a Power Base Converter ×2, or a Master System ×2. Excuse me, I'm sorry, ×2. Kind of the PS1 is like a PS2 is like a PS1 ×2, kind of, or ×4, I think. I don't know, but yeah, kind of badass that Sega did that. So it's up to you. If you're like a big Sega hardware fan, like I am, then I say buy one. Yes, I say get one along with your Sega CD, Sega 32X, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, Game Gear, Dreamcast, get one of these two, obviously, right? And why wouldn't you, right? If you don't have one yet, that's the only reason why I have one. I really never, for the longest time, I held off on buying one because I have, or had, and now I have it again, the power-based converter. I was sad with that. I was happy. I was fine. So for the longest time, I didn't get one. I didn't get one of these until 2016, and I had to toss someone out because it got busted. Like, its controller port was fucking up. My games were acting like the control button was being mashed, and it's like, what happened here? I don't know what happened, but I ended up just getting a replacement model. Thankfully, it wasn't too expensive. But it's kind of like the least important North American Sega console, and I hate saying that. Next to the 32X, the 32X kind of is also the least important system because there's not too many games for the 32X that you can really, that are worth owning. Now, is there anything for the Master System worth owning? Yeah, there's some titles on here, but no, because these titles they're on other platforms, right? So yes, Phantasy Star absolutely. Now for this is a classic game, man. I would say yes. But these other games have enhanced versions of them. Fantasy Zone, I don't think Fantasy Zone does either. No, wait, yes it does. Fantasy Zone has got a 3DS release. It's basically the arcade version on there. So the graphics just look a little bit better. But this version of Fantasy Zone, I really, really love it. And same thing with Space Harrier. So, again, it's really up to you what you think. That's honestly the guy what I'm going to tell you. Now, there's a ton of other games for the Master System that I probably don't own yet that are really, really good. So that's why I can't really recommend this to you yet. But overall, there's also Alien Syndrome, which I think that's also an arcade game, but that's another reason to own this console. Or at least get a power-based converter for these games. These games are worth playing. Yes, they are. These versions of these games, yes, because the gameplay is also good. They are. It's just they're just 8-bit graphics with chiptune noise. And if you like that, then okay. And also, if you notice in this episode, if you're listening, you can also hear the music. I am using both FM sound songs from various games and 8-bit chiptune songs from various games, which I think it's kind of clever that I did that. Kind of suck my own dick there, or toot my own horn. But I'm being serious. That's if you're hearing the music, it's like wait, why does the music sound 8-bit? Then it sounds like not 8-bit, like it sounds good and cool and stuff. Because I am using the Master System or Mark III, Sega Mark III actually can do. So there you go with that. So guys, that's it for episode 2. Episode 3 is going to be a humongous episode. That's going to be my biggest episode yet. I already made it before this one, but I can't upload it until this one's all done. The next episode is on the Sega Genesis, the Sega Mega Drive, my favorite console, next to the Sega Dreamcast and GameCube probably. I think I might like it a little bit more than those two consoles. I don't know. I debate, like, what do I love? What's my absolute favorite console? It's either the Genesis or the Dreamcast and the GameCube. But the Dreamcast has Shenmue, 1 and 2 on it, and Skies of Arcadia and Sonic Adventure and stuff. But the Genesis has Sonic the Hedgehog and Phantasy Star games and other great games on it that I love playing, like Streets of Rage. I love Streets of Rage. Oh my god! So it's really hard for me to pick which ones I love more than the other. If you've never experienced Sega before, you really should. And this is not such a bad start, but I don't recommend it to be your first. But it's up to you, man. If you want to be timeline order, chronological, okay, see the evolution of Sega hardware and where they started. The Master System is not such a bad starting console. I know I said earlier in the episode, I don't recommend it to be your first. But if you do end up buying this one first, if you end up collecting for it first and playing it first and getting into it first before any other Sega console, that's okay with me. I just recommend, if you've never ever played a Sega game in your life, you are really missing out on gaming. Oh my god, that is hard for me to believe a little bit. There are so many great games Sega has developed, helped publish, helped design, that you are missing out on. You gotta play Streets of Rage, Sonic the Hedgehog, Yakuza, Shenmue, Phantasy Star series. There are so many amazing games Sega did. The current Alien games, yes, they're actually working on the current Alien. Oh, I should have brought Alien Syndrome down here to kind of talk about that. Oh, they made Alien Syndrome, which is like a rip-off of the Alien movies, but now Sega actually owns the rights to make the Alien franchise video games. That's kind of awesome and funny in my opinion, but yes. So, I forgot all about that, how that kind of connects. It's kind of unique and funny. But, yeah guys, like I said though, like, in case if you've never owned one before, That's fine with me if you get this guy first. But again, I recommend the Sega Genesis first and foremost. So, but hey, it's up to you. Or even the Dreamcast. Yeah, I would say the Dreamcast isn't a bad start either. And for a first Sonic the Hedgehog game, I think you should absolutely play Sonic 1 first, or Sonic 2, or Sonic Adventure. It's a tie between those three Sonic games. Sonic 1, 2, or Sonic Adventure should be your first Sonic the Hedgehog game, in my opinion. Or maybe even Sonic CD. Maybe even Sonic CD. Those four, yes. I think one of those four should be your first. And not Sonic 3, because Sonic 3 is a badass, amazing game. It's my favorite one. But I think you should play one of those games first for sure before you play that one. Just so they kind of get a sense of, like, you know, where the series kind of goes. Same thing with Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania, okay, but it's a tie between those five. Sonic 1, 2, CD, Adventure, Mania. One of those five Sonic games, fine with me. But this is not about Sonic the Hedgehog. It should be your first if you've never played Sonic before. If you've never played Sonic before, if you've never played a Sonic game before, this should be one of your first games. Sonic the Hedgehog is actually on the Master System. That's right. Now, when I say Sonic 1 and 2, I'm talking about the Genesis versions. Sonic the Hedgehog is on the SEGA Master System. So this can kind of be your first Sega console. There is a version for it, and I recommend playing that version. It has different stages and a bit of a different feel. Not necessarily that much of a different feel than Sonic. Okay, fine. It has different stages than Sonic 1 does. The Genesis version. I don't know how much it is, but it's also for the Sega Game Gear, and that's one that I own. But if this is your first Sega console, you can get Sonic the Hedgehog with it after all. So, you know what? That kind of changes my mind a little bit more towards that way. So should this be your first Sega console? Maybe, yes, is up to you. It's up to you, honestly to God. If you've never owned one, if you want to get one, maybe. Should the NES be your first Nintendo console? Maybe, yeah. If you never played Nintendo before, if you want to, which I find it hard to believe, but yes, Nintendo. Maybe yes. I would say maybe either the Super Nintendo or the GameCube or the Wii U. I'm not even kidding. Like, I know that's like a weird choice of like consoles. Maybe even the Wii. The Wii U, GameCube, NES, or even the Switch. Should be your first one, in my opinion. I'm not even kidding. Yes. Yep. NES, SNES. Hell, it doesn't matter what your first Nintendo or Sega console is. You're probably gonna love it, whatever it is. So, okay, guys, this is Hazuki Warrior 921 signing out here. Have a good one. Peace out. Long live Sega in their own way. I wish they made consoles again, but it's whatever. And I'm gonna get into why, or in my theory and opinion, and something I'm really mad about, what and why Sega kind of stopped doing that, and why the Dreamcast kind of failed the way it did. There's one piece of Sega hardware I really am mad at, and kind of blame for why Sega is where they are now. But we'll talk about that when the episode comes. I think you know what it is. It has to do with the Genesis. Those are my only hints. I'm not gonna say anything else. But we'll talk about that piece of device when we get to it in that episode. So until then, guys, I'll see you in episode 3, my second Genesis episode. Have a good one, take care. Peace out. Long live Sega. Long live Sonic. Long live the Yakuza series, Shenmue, whatever else. And please, guys, check out Sega. They're pretty great if you haven't already. Have a good one, take care. Bye-bye. Sega! '88. Damn. You know, I didn't talk about the clamshell cases, but I think I did it in the Genesis episode. So I will see you guys then. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Go play some Fantasy Star. It's a great game. It really is.